I'm Robert Reich, and welcome to You Heard Me. This is the podcast for anyone who wants to know what is really happening in the mortgage and title industry. You'll learn what's being talked about in hallways at trade shows and behind closed doors in boardrooms. I'll bring you cutting-edge interviews on title legislation from industry experts, plus sales and marketing secrets from the innovators doing it every day. You'll hear it here first on You Heard Me, keeping you ahead of the competition. With me today are two special guests. These two guests are different from most guests that I've had on You Heard Me, in that they are experts in an area that I've never interviewed someone before. So this is going to be new for me and new for everybody else. But I'm very excited about it because this is going to be a very informative, I think, conversation. With me today is Matt Lamont, Director of Strategic Partnerships, and Ralph Marotti, Director of Sales at a company called Benutech out of California. Benutech is a provider of data to the title industry, but in a way that really has never been done before. Gentlemen, how are you today?
I am fantastic, my friend. How about yourself?
I'm doing well, Matt. Ralph, how are you?
I'm well. Thank you very much for asking.
You betcha. Let's start off by doing a little background on you guys. Matt, would you start with who you are, where you've come from, what you've been doing, and how you got to where you are? Give us about 60 seconds.
I used to be in lending for all the way up until the real estate crisis. So you could say that I kind of helped bury the country's economy.
Was that you that did that?
That was me, yeah, putting everybody in neg-ams and whatnot.
Okay. All right.
No, most of the time I did prime loans. But yeah, I kind of, like everybody else at the time, I fell flat on my face, and then had to crawl my way back up after the whole real estate crisis. And then I found Ryan Marshall and joined in Benutech in the whole data journey.
Ryan Marshall being the CEO of Benutech. So you know what you call a mortgage broker the day after the 2008 crash?
An ex-convict?
No, waiter. I'm just kidding. Ralph, you're the senior statesman in the room, so you've got a storied history. Take
Sure.
us back to the beginning, as many years ago as that was, and let's tell us how you got to where you are today.
Okay, so I'm a former real estate agent from New England in the late 70s, before there were any of these types of systems out there. Moved to California with my wife and my 8-month-old in 1985. Joined a company called Data Quick, who's relatively known throughout the country as one of the first companies to have a system like this. For 13 years, moved over to an F&F company called Black Knight for 13 years, retired, and then got pulled out of retirement by the CEO of this company, Benutech. So I've been in data for about 32 years, and I've been in data and real estate for about 40 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So let's capitalize on your history and your background. Can we kind of do maybe not a deep dive, but a little bit of a dive into the history of real estate data to get everybody on the same page? Would you kind of bring us into 2000? Here we are, it's 2018. Good Lord, January 2018. Yeah. Bring us into 2018. It doesn't have to be incredibly detailed, but enough to give us an appreciation of how far data has come over the last several decades.
Awesome. So I started off as a real estate appraiser apprentice in the late 70s, where everything was put on index cards and filed away for future use. And a lot of the bigger appraisers in the state would share data occasionally with each other, which was the first little blush that I had with data. And then when I moved to California, it was put on microfiche cards, a little oversized index card that everybody had to go in and pull out the parcel number or address from a set of plastic microfilm cards. Evolved to a CD-ROM version where you got updates on a monthly basis and you added them to your computer to view. Then it went to online services with 1200 baud modems in the late 80s to early 90s, switched over to strictly online, and then we've enhanced that by taking it to the next level with our program titled Toolbox.
You skipped over the stone tablet.
That's right. How did back then the data get onto the index cards or even onto the CD-ROMs? I mean, were there any, the counties weren't online back then, were they?
No. So originally everything was written in on index cards and put in a file for future use. When I moved to California, there were people processing the data from assessors and recorders' offices sent to a keying facility. The keying facility would transfer the data to the microfilm. Films were developed and then duplicated by a number of companies throughout the state in California. Then it went to a keying facility for the CD-ROMs because that was a more popular way to find the data a little bit easier. And then, of course, it was people keying in data all the time. Keying facilities throughout the world, actually.
When did counties of any in volume, in any kind of volume, start going online? Now, I have to, you're giving me goosebumps here because I'm thinking about index cards, and if the rainstorm or in California the mudslide comes, and I'm sure you have stories about this, right, where the natural disaster, earthquake, whatever, and all this data was on index cards, right? Is my picture of this back in the 80s, 70s the right picture?
For the 70s, it was that, and then I can't give you the exact date, but I think in the late or mid 90s, a lot of these counties got on an online system, and people could pull it out. In the most cases that I could remember, the counties developed tapes and then sent them to the information companies for processing. And I think that started in maybe the early 90s. So when they created those tapes, they had a distribution list. You paid X amount of money for a county. And then a lot of counties have now gone online, as you know, throughout the country, but it's not 100% that way. So I can't give you the exact date, but I know that's when it kind of started.
So what would you say the percentage of counties online are now? Rough estimate.
I'm going to say between 30 and 45%, but I can't swear to it, but I'm just going to guess that.
Wow, that's it. That's so low. So you're saying, if your numbers are right, that about 55 to 60% of the country is yet to be online.
I believe so.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay. 2018, I would think it would be a bigger number, but okay.
Again, I don't want to be held to that number. I really don't have the
80%. We'll call you back up again.
I would hope it'd be 80. Yeah. But there are now title plants that process the data also. That is a much higher number. I'm talking about just county assessors' offices and recorders' office. They consistently make these tapes and then send them to be processed.
Got it. Okay, so let's bring it into present day now. Who is Benutech as a company?
We are a relatively small company, but we have a national footprint. We feature a product called Rebo Gateway, and now we have developed a product called Title Toolbox. What we do is we compile certain types of data along with the assessor records and recorders information, and we also have the life event data that is a pretty unique data set that will help identify homeowners times when they may be in trouble to create a listing. So we feature that product.
We know when you die or divorce. That's a blunt way of
more
putting
to
it.
it than that, but I got it. So why does a title agent, we're going to show, you guys are going to show us Title Toolbox here in just a minute. Why does a title agent need this capability? What's in it for them?
Title agents need our data strictly because we have a unique way of presenting it electronically and through the internet quickly and fast to identify life change events that most likely will lead to possible listings. And this has been voided with the bigger companies that are out there with these types of systems. That's why we have this big niche.
So I'm gonna jump in there too.
Yeah, please.
So in California, where it's really popular, where we have Title Toolbox spread, it's popular because title reps, and let's take any of the major title companies out here like Fidelity, First American, Lawyers Title, whatever, right? If you're going into an office, you're talking about title, and then you have a competitor, and that competitor is talking about title, how interested are the real estate agents going to be if you want to be honest about it? Probably not too interested, right? I mean, they've heard the same spiel over and over again. I've gone to a lot of office meetings. But when you're able to help a real estate agent market and give them a bird's eye view of what's really going on in that neighborhood and show them things like, who's going to list their house next, their eyes are going to be wide open, their ears are going to be wide open, they're going to be a lot more receptive to your business. And value add is really important now, not just in the title industry, but in any industry. When you have free apps and free this and free that being handed out all over the place, people kind of expect that, with your business. So value add right now is if you don't have that in your business model, you're probably going to fail in your marketing execution. So data is very important because title agents need to help the real estate agents with their marketing and be seen as an outside advisor outside of just title insurance.
Yeah. I'd like to add a quick story that just happened about a week and a half ago. I have a really good customer that I've been friends with for 20-something years. And he came to me and he says, I got to tell you what happened the other day. And I says, okay, go. He says, I went into an office and that was really kind of a closed office with another title company that I'm going to let you know about in a minute. This is how he was explaining it to me. And he said, and I showed Title Toolbox. And the agent, who's a very successful agent, said to me, does such and such title company have this? And my guy said, yes, they do. Well, I am not happy that they never showed me Title Toolbox. You're getting my business now. I mean, that was a great example of the proper use of it.
Do we call this farms, gentlemen?
Yeah, you could call it farms. It's a database of life change events along with the recorders and assessors data, mixing it all together and coming out with the right recipe to identify the proper potential listings.
All right, so it sounds like to me you would call that to some degree predictive analytics. I'm guessing. Would that be?
It's somewhat. I mean, there are some predictive analytics in there as far as being able to tell, and that's really being able to tell who's the next seller based on like average year owned and marketing trends. And there is some of that in there, but it goes a step beyond predictive analytics, where you're able to pull. Let's say I'm a real estate agent. I'm like, I want to see everybody in the zip code of 92840 that just divorced within the past 90 days. It's not quite predictive analytics. That's just data in general. You know what I'm saying? Though if we were able to predict divorce, I think we'd be onto something there.
Got it. That's interesting. So let's talk about the difference between the West and the East. In California, farming, I know many agencies have departments where they do nothing but farms for their real estate agents. In the
Correct.
East, that's unheard of. So talk about how this has applied in the West, and I think what you're now making this available in the East through Title Toolbox. How does it apply differently yet the same in the East? Can you walk me through all that?
Sure. Most of the West Coast, especially California, Nevada, Arizona, and somewhat Oregon, Washington, this is pretty popular of a system where title companies, through title reps, give to their end users access to profiles and farm data.
Property profiles. Right.
Property profiles and farming data, type data. The law has changed in California for the last 7 years, where they are unable to give marketing phone numbers and mortgage data to the end users, but it still exists in Arizona and Nevada, for example. I was with 2 companies that tried to introduce this system or a similar system back in the 90s and then in the 2000s, early this last 15 years ago and forward. These types of systems, say in Florida, Texas, North Carolina, et cetera, with the East Coast, and the culture wasn't there. They could get a property profile pretty easily, but the big deal really is, what about the marketing of the data and going into a neighborhood and knowing what is 1 square mile around a house? What other opportunities are there with that? And we have a product that's called the lead sheet that will point that information out to you. So this is where we think we can make a national presence, because a property profile is a property profile. It's hard to make it look any sexier than it is. Assessor data is very accessible in a lot of counties throughout the country, but to get these analytic type products, empty nesters, next seller, all the other indices that we have, divorces and probates and such, that is not really present in some of the East Coast areas until Title Toolbox. We make it easy for the title company to have access to this so that they can spread the word through their title reps and agencies. That's a major difference. The cultures have been a little different, and it's been extremely successful in California and in some of these other Western states, and now we're hoping to drive it across the country.
I think the business model is somewhat different on the East Coast as well, and clearly due to laws. In some states, you have direct sales, what they call direct sales, where you have the title rep that goes out to the major brokerages and tries to drum up business. And then in some states, you have agency sales, where they have people going out to the different settlement agencies to get their business. And then the settlement agencies will go out to the real estate brokerages. I think if you were in agency sales, your approach with Title Toolbox would be offering it to those settlement agencies so that they're able to offer to the end user, the real estate agent, if that makes sense.
Sure, 100%. So, Matt, just to continue on with that and dovetailing with what you said a few minutes ago,
right?
Every title agent or settlement agent, if you're a law firm, is faced with trying to differentiate themselves from their competition. And because
right.
the industry is so regulated, highly regulated, the ability to do certain things to stand out, some of the things that they used to do, like tickets to the ball games and whatever, and worse, those are gone. So now they have to come to the table with legal difference makers to stand up from the competition. And so you guys are saying that this is it, that the East Coast, the eastern half of the United States, forget the property profiles. This is, it sounds like to me, property profiles on steroids. That's a cliche, but I'm going to use it. And this is the way to really stand out from the competition. Am I saying that right, Matt?
I'd say so. I mean, it's not just property profiles; it's property profiles and a whole lot more. I mean, it's in the data world, it's like the invention of the iPhone. You used to have 3 or 4 different programs that you would have to use in order to pull this type of data, and with Title Toolbox, it's really everything wrapped up into one. We'll show that a little bit later.
So is that the unique proposition here? The Benutech technology uniquely wraps everything into one platform?
Yes. Yeah, the user interface is definitely the big deal about it. I mean, there's nothing like it out there in the data industry, period, whether we're talking about just with title or just data in general. If I was a direct mail company ordering data from a data company, there hasn't been the problem with data companies in the past has been there's no friendly user interface, and a lot of the interfaces were built probably 9 or 10 years ago, so they're extremely outdated, and it's really hard for people to use and pull data from it, and no one's really gone to the trouble of updating it or making it friendly for a user. So the layman can't use the products at all. And they have to go through, hours and hours of webinars in order to figure it out. So what we've done is made something that's intuitive that anybody, even if you have never even used data, could pick up and use it pretty easily.
So as you roll this out to the East Coast, do you tell the title agents, you guys run the data reports for the real estate agent, or do you say, here, we'll train your real estate agents on how to use this direct?
It would be both ways. If you're dealing with a customer that can handle the computer and doesn't mind picking up the data 24/7, 365, then we have training classes, we have webinars, we have videos, we have a multiple amount of direct training to the end user, as well as the title company customer service department. It's really like 4 systems in one. What the customer sees, what the end user sees, what the title farming department sees, it's all the same. We have a thing called the interactive spreadsheet, so you don't have to mess around opening up different browsers to get an easy look at a property profile or a Google overview map or the really popular lead sheet to know what's going on around a property. It's all in one concise, easy way to view it and use it. The user interface is extremely similar for everybody that goes into a Title Toolbox account.
So even a realtor could do this, huh?
Even a realtor. And the thing is, that even if they can't, which I mean, we have literally a 3-step process to pull data. It's so simple, but even if they can't, the title rep pulls it. It's kind of like we live in an era of sharing and social media and whatnot. We've included that in the program where you can share what you're looking at with the end user being the real estate agent. So if I'm next to the real estate agent's desk and I want to share data with them and send them what I'm looking at, they're able to send it straight to the real estate agent. They click on the hyperlink. They're seeing exactly what the title rep's seeing.
Without even logging into the toolbox.
Without even logging in.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so you guys are ready to show a demo of this. Let's do that. While you're sharing your screen there, is this also mobile enabled yet, or is it PC desktop type stuff at this point?
Well, we're in the middle of finalizing our mobile app. We hope to have it out within 30 days. Awesome.
Well, I know your CEO, Ryan Marshall. He's a heck of a smart guy, and so I will look forward to that because I know what he does is just top notch. So that's fantastic.
Thank you.
So go ahead, share your screen there, Matt, and let's run through some of this.
All right. Can you see me?
Yep. Looks good. So
Cool
we're
deal.
in the title toolbox. I see it in the upper left-hand corner.
Right. So let's say I'm a title rep. I walk in the office and I'm looking for the top producer, Johnny Rocket. And Johnny Rocket is like, hey, look, I just got a listing at this address, and I want you to pull, the nearby neighbors so that I can market to them. We'll just do a simple thing, right? So I asked the real estate agent, what address is it that you got the listing, right? And he's like 12272 Falling Leaf Street in Garden Grove. So we have an API with Google. So Google auto completes your address. We made it that stupid simple. So I don't need to type in the whole address here. And I'm going to pull 1 mile radius around this listing, right? Or 1 mile and change. And I'm going to choose all residential properties. Like I said, it's 3 steps. It's literally that easy, right? So what it's going to do now, it's going to pull all the residentials around that area, and it's going to give me a list. So in old data utilities, what would happen at this point is it would spit out an Excel sheet or a CSV, and to do any kind of function that you want with these data records, you would have to copy and paste each record into whatever other system you're trying to use. So if you're going to run comps or pull profiles or whatever it is, you're going to have to take it, copy and paste it, log into something else, and yada, yada, yada. So on this, it's a fully interactive spreadsheet. So when I click on this gear icon, it's going to give me a number of different things that I can do with the record, right? So I could generate a report. This is going to pull a title profile, a cover page, or AVM or current tax bill where available, right? I'm also able to do an aerial view, which is pretty cool, as well as a street view and walk around my farm.
Let me interrupt you. Just make sure that I'm understanding here. This list that you pulled is a list of all addresses or certain addresses?
It's all addresses, and you can choose different slices and dices if you want. So I could pull up, let's say instead of doing that, I could go back and pull up everybody that's owned a property for 30 years that has over 3 bedrooms. Or I could pull up everyone that's divorced within the past 90 days, right? Now, keep in mind, if it's court records, title companies aren't allowed to give that out because of RESPA. So the real estate agent would have to purchase those records. Those are what's called Premier Leads.
Okay, can you show us how Premier Leads works? Can you just run a Premier Lead?
I could. It is behind a paywall, just FYI.
All right, got it. Got it. Okay, no problem. Okay, so please continue.
It's going to come out pretty much like this. The only difference is right over here on the right, it'll have details about the court record. So say it's an affidavit of death, it's going to tell you who the deceased is and who the beneficiary is, right? Who inherited the property. But the reason why I pulled all residential properties is because when you do so, you can pull things like dynamic stats. Why that's important is because it's going to tell you the turnover rate of the neighborhood. So we'll take this one, for instance. All right, so it's a 4% turnover rate, right? So there's 3,078 homes in that area, and 123 of them have sold, giving us a 4% turnover rate. That's usually not that good because you want to be around a 7%. But if you look at the trend here on a 60-month look back, the trend of sales, you can see that it's steadily rising, right? So it might not be a bad neighborhood to target. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So if I'm a title rep and I want to share this query with the real estate agent, it's pretty simple. I hit share, and then find the real estate agent's name. So this is Johnny Rocket. We'll pretend like he has my email address. Right? And so as a title rep, I'm done at this point, by the way. So I'll just log out.
Now, Matt, this is available. Okay, go ahead and do your, you're going to do your share here. I'm going to ask you a question.
So as a real estate agent, I just click on this hyperlink here.
Can I step in for a second?
Go ahead.
Yeah. What he just did, just to make sure that everybody gets it, is he sent a shared search and query to the Title Toolbox customer of his. It sends an email immediately to that customer. That customer doesn't even have to log in to Title Toolbox. When he or she hits the hyperlink saying that Matt is sharing a query with you, it opens up to this section right here. So he doesn't have to do anything. That is what we call a wow factor. And the agent is very impressed that they could get a farm that fast and that easy to grab it.
They didn't have to call in customer service and then wait for 6 hours for their CSV file to come over. Like literally it was like instant. So if I'm Johnny Rocket right now, I just opened up my email, popped in, here's my list. I'm looking at the same thing as the title rep, right? So now as a real estate agent, I can run comps, do all the detailed view stuff that I was showing you guys, and then export it straight over to CoreFax so that all of this stuff could get mailed.
CoreFax is a third-party vendor that we have a contract with that will take the data in their format as long as you have an account with them, which we can help you set up, and then they can send out postcards on your behalf and update the data. Yeah, it's really a cool feature, and we're adding third-party vendors as we speak.
Right. And so when I'm done with this, I'm going to save the farm, and the reason why I'm going to do that is because if I want to pull data later, I can suppress the records, meaning that I won't pull the same homes twice. Also, the list is automatically updated with new mailing addresses of owners. If owners have changed, it's going to change the owners' names. You can even upload lists that you already have from 10 years ago, and it's going to update your entire list for you automatically. Right? So you don't have to keep pulling the data, which is amazing.
I bet you call that the wow factor.
That is another wow factor. Absolutely.
So, now a couple of questions.
Yeah.
You can do this anywhere? Where can't you do this?
I don't know where we don't.
It's very few counties we don't have.
Yeah. Because the assessor, unlike what Ralph was talking about earlier, that where data only has, what, 34%, 35%, was that court data?
No, that wasn't court data. That was back in the day, remember?
Oh, okay.
So that's been evolving, and now we're taking advantage of the areas that have...
Because we cover 99% of the country
Right.
with the assessor data, so the whole 35% doesn't apply there.
The live data is a big thing.
So Orlando, Florida, Baltimore, Maryland, Cleveland, Ohio, Nashville, Tennessee, Memphis, Tennessee, Birmingham, Alabama. I mean, yes to all those areas and more. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, to find a place where we don't have data, you need to go out into the sticks somewhere, you know, where people are skinning alligators.
Okay, that might be Miami, but we'll leave that out of the conversation. All right. I could. Miami people, don't get mad at me. Don't send me emails. I'm just kidding. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Okay. So, you know what I think is if you want to talk some more wow factor here, what would be ultra cool is the title rep does this from their phone in the field for an agent. Let's say they get an email or a phone call and say, hey, can you run a title toolbox farm for me? And they can just do it, you know, while they're sitting in Starbucks and share it out with that link without having to get on a computer or go back to the office. Now, I think what we're seeing here is awesome, and I think that takes it to the next level.
Yeah, that's definitely coming within the next 30 days. I mean, we already have the prototype of the app built, so it's just a matter of cleaning a few things up, and that's it.
The other interesting wow factor that I want to bring up, besides the live data and the shared query, is that on a weekly basis, anybody that has a farm from any of the customers of the title rep or the agency, anybody that any of their customers will receive a weekly email that will show them what's sprouting in their farm, which means here is the farm I sent you back 3 months ago. Here are some new owners, and there are some new loans that happen in that area, and it comes directly from us, but on behalf of the title rep that has given the account to a realtor. So the realtor wakes up on Monday morning, and they have new information that appear to be sent by the title rep. It's the way we are trying to be different than others. That's a really big wow factor. Don't you agree, Rob?
I do, and let me tell you, though, at first blush, I was thinking, okay, so if someone moves into my farm area, brand new, and I'm a realtor, why do I care about that person? I'm gonna answer my own question. So that person may have moved across counties, across a state, across many states. Maybe they're even new to the United States. And at some point, they're going to need a real estate advisor. What a great time to start a relationship with someone new to the area who doesn't really, you know, if they did move any distance at all, they don't know where they're going, they don't know what they're doing, they have no relationships whatsoever. What a great time to start one. Yes, you're investing in your future, but I don't think real estate agents do that enough.
Well, that's the definition of a farm, right? You plant a seed and you nourish it for several months before it grows, depending on the type of seed. So, yes, that's a main purpose of having that feature. You should be aware of changes that happen in your area.
Yeah.
That is pretty amazing. I never actually even looked at it that way. But I mean, if you were introducing yourself to every new resident that came in the neighborhood as the real estate agent for that neighborhood, give it 5 or 6 years when people usually sell. I mean, you're going to be getting a ton of business.
And there could be referrals there too, right?
Big time.
Yeah, very good. This is awesome. Very clean look. Ryan Marshall did a great job with this. This is a great demo. Is there anything else at this point you want us to see?
I'm kind of brushing over things, but I mean, you can just click, if you want to pull profiles, you're able to click on property search and just enter in an address and you pull a profile right then and there. There's no need to go to another program. Also, if you, let's say this area, remember I was showing you those marketing trends earlier?
Yeah.
Let's say this area was complete crap and you don't want to market there, right? Because you can see that the trend's going downward, people aren't really selling that much, and you probably just got lucky with that listing. You're able to search a different area, and actually the entire county if you wanted to, and look for an area that actually is hopping. So let's say that didn't work out. Let's go to Orange. Irvine, huh?
Let's use Irvine as an example.
Okay.
Every coach in America preaches go to areas that have about a 7% turnover ratio or higher. We have all those stats. That's like the major feature of every real estate coach that we've ever talked to. Go to areas that have 7% or more. And what we can do is go in to a city, press a button, and get every area in that city by different means, census tract, zip code. And we came up with in Irvine 4 areas that had a turnover ratio of higher than 7. We give you the stats on it, how many number of units they have, how many sales, the average price, how long somebody owned. Slide over, Matt, and show them the last bit. And the non-owner occupied percentage as well, which is another good area to know if you're going in and trying to market to people who are out of their, from another address, which we can show them. It's an instant way to know if you're in the right place or if you want to explore other areas. Let's go where it is.
Actually, the non-owner ratio, it's important for 2 reasons. One's because if you're a real estate investor, a lot of times real estate investors want to market to non-owner occupied, absentee owners, because they sell at a higher rate than the normal residential owner, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also the non-owner ratio is good for the average real estate agent that's knocking on doors, because if he's in this area that has a 20% non-owner ratio, he's going to be knocking on doors of renters a quarter of the time, right? Where if he was knocking on doors in this area where it's only an 8% non-owner occupied ratio, most of the time he's going to be getting the owner. So it gives you a little overview before you start running out there. You know, as a real estate agent, you know, that's beating the pavement, time's money, time's important, and banging on doors is not an easy job.
Agreed.
So, I mean, it does relatively the same. You select the list, you search it, and it pulls up an interactive list once again. At the end of the day, it's just about getting a high-performing list and making sure that you're marketing to the right people as a real estate agent. And as a title rep, you're seen as, I mean, this is information they can't get anywhere. If you're giving this to them as a title rep, you're going to be the apple of their eyes. I mean, for sure, they'll be sending you their title business. Why wouldn't they? You know?
It's definitely a complete system.
Yeah, got it. So do you guys, can you talk about, at least put us in the ballpark on how much all this costs?
Well, it depends on the area, how many users you have. We give you a certain number of profiles that are included in the price along with property records. I'll give you an example of California, what a title company pays. We do have a monthly minimum. You get your own URL. You can call it for whatever you want in your vertical market. You get unlimited amount of users. You get 2,000 profiles a month if that's the area you're in. That's part of the monthly minimum, and 250,000 farm records. Unlimited use of the maps, unlimited use of the different indices that you can get from turnover ratio. There's no cost to that. We allow you to upload your customers' farm records into the system to use it for analytics, and that doesn't cost any money. We have single-page profiles that are free. In some areas, we have tax bills also, and we have the lead sheet. And we also will give title reps, like, say, a 30-day trial to look at it, use it, love it. And the pricing will vary. That would be $1,000 a month for all that I just said. That's the minimum. If you go over those amounts, the price of the profiles go down to 40 cents and then to 30 if you go over a certain number of records in a month. And the same thing for the farming records. They're 1 penny over the 250,000. But we have different variations of that. We have some people that are on half that program. We have some people that are on a la carte. It just depends on the area and the economy for that area.
Yeah, we're introducing this into the East Coast. So we wanted to give title reps out there since some states they don't even give out data, and they don't know the value of giving data to real estate agents. Some of them don't even know that RESPA allows it. So we would like to give the title reps out there, a chance to play with this for a month and tell their sales managers about it. Obviously to spread the word on our part, and for their part to see the value that we found on the West Coast in using this to gain more business from real estate agents and gain and retain market share from your competitors.
And we're very willing to do a full-blown demo for anybody that's listening to this podcast. We're willing to listen to their wants and needs. We are ever changing this product on a daily and weekly basis with suggestions from customers. And it wasn't just Ryan doing it. We listened. Some companies give you what they have. We want to give you what you want. So with that, we open up to anybody calling us for a free trial, a free demo. We can put you in touch with our Benutech training site that has videos and flyers and schedules for different types of webinars. We're very, very open to any of that.
The pricing that you just gave, the minimum of 1,000, I know you gave a la carte, et cetera, after that. Is that per county, or what is that per customer?
It's a national, that's a great question, and I'm sorry I overlooked it. You have access to the entire country. There's no restrictions. Unlike other companies that you have to buy certain counties or states, we give you access to the entire spectrum of the country. So you can go anywhere you want.
But keep in mind, too, if you're a title rep listing, that's not $1,000 a month per title rep. That's for an office.
Right.
On all title reps get access.
I think you said unlimited users, did you not?
That's correct.
No, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, got it. I was listening. Matt.
Thank you.
Just working on that wow factor. All right, very good. Gentlemen, I want to thank you for coming on. You heard me. Hey, can we do a $10 off special for You Heard Me podcast listeners?
Sure.
All right. How does everybody get in touch with you guys? I'm sure the inquiry is going to be pouring in. They usually do. How can folks get a hold of you if they want to get a demo or talk further?
You can call in this number, 714-829-8374. That's a direct line to Matt Lamont.
Or my line, 951-310-7512. I'm Ralph.
So what do you guys do? Arm wrestle over who gets the next lead?
No, we're sharing.
That's exactly what we do.
We're sharing. Matt would win, believe me.
I'm just kidding.
I don't know. You were doing those squats this morning,
That's right.
200-pound back squats.
Power squatting.
Yeah.
Matt, Ralph, thank you so much. Benutech is an awesome company. Next Deal uses Benutech for data. We certainly appreciate our relationship with you guys. And even if we didn't, I'm so happy that you guys came on and did a demo of something that is way outside of the box of anything that I've ever seen before. And I'm sure, especially in the East, if you're an East Coast title agent and this looks even slightly interesting to you, I think you ought to get a full demo. I don't make any money off of this, so I'm only pushing it because I think it has value. And so, gentlemen, thank you for coming on. I think we should have you on in a few months down the road, maybe closer to summer, and you can show off the mobile app.
Yeah. Awesome. Sounds good, Robert.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
Yep. Have a good one. Bye-bye. Yep.
Folks, there's a lot to talk about in our industry, and not all of it makes it into the trade media. My podcast, You Heard Me, will get you a jump on breaking news and sales and marketing secrets through interviews with industry leaders. If it's important to the title and real estate industry, you'll hear it here first, keeping you ahead of the competition. I'm Robert Reich,